Hey, how's it going? This is Mark Dudley and Joe Kane. We are taking over this week for the Shining Spotlight for Irvin Johnson. I hope Irvin doesn't mind. We
Uh,
have the privilege of being able to interview somebody who I consider to be a trailblazer in the modern non-Japanese manga circles. This is Eden Melles. Eden,
Thank you.
how's it going today?
I'm fine, thank you.
So, Eden, you had the privilege of being able to study manga uh, in Japan. Can you talk to us about that a little bit?
Yeah, I was in Japan last year where I got to learn more about how to make a manga as a medium
mm,
and the storytelling behind it.
Okay. All right. So
To learn manga.
you studied with Sensei Naoyazawa. Is that true?
Yes, but that was a few years ago, but it's another
But, but,
sensei.
but again, I think
Yeah.
our viewers who are interested in Naoyazawa would kind of want to know what that was like.
Ooh. Yeah, the thing is that I started to study with Yasawa Sensei, but it was actually during COVID,
All right.
so
oh, okay.
it was actually online
Mm.
in 3 years.
Okay.
It was a lovely experience. I learned a lot as an artist and I improved
Mm.
Okay.
my drawing skills. So it was a really nice experience.
So, question, you brought up COVID. What
Yeah.
were some of the challenges of working during COVID, of being educated during COVID? I mean, what compared to actually being educated, face to face?
Oh, the thing is that I worked as a manga teacher back then.
Oh,
I was
Mm.
starting my manga class back in COVID.
all
Mm.
right,
So I wanted to learn more about manga, but it was hard when everything was in lockdown.
all right, right, right.
So I saw that Yasawa Sensei were offering online classes, and then I took some while
Mm.
working as a manga teacher.
All right, all right.
Okay.
The thing is, as we talked about yesterday, uh, I'm going to talk to you. I want to talk a little bit more about the manga classes that you taught back then. But one thing I find, Joe and I talk about this a lot. At least here in the States, in the manga space, in what we call original English language manga space, what we find is that there aren't that many mentors. There are not that many
Mhm.
mentors at all because what I believe happened. I'm not saying that I'm
Hmm.
an expert on, the actual total field, but what I believe happened is that a, a lot of people from that aren't from Japan, they were very mystified by manga, and they don't realize that there's a process in doing it. One, and they don't realize that even though when we get the manga, some of the artwork seems like it's a lot easier to do. The mangaka can draw very well. That's just the style that they choose to use,
Mhm.
is what we find. That's my theory
Okay.
as it relates. So let me ask you, and Joe, chime in whenever you're ready. Uh,
Oh, yeah.
so, and I didn't ask you this yesterday. Can you talk a little bit about the manga scene in Norway, right? As you have been in that scene, can you talk a little bit about, the manga scene in Norway?
Well, we have in Norway, we have something called Nordic manga,
Okay.
Mm.
where people create manga based on multiple inspirational sources, like getting inspired by Japanese manga, French comics,
Uh,
Belgian
Mm.
uh,
comic, and then they try to make a Norwegian version of
Mm.
manga. And
Okay.
then we have, yeah,
so for us, that would be kind of like our original English language manga there.
yeah,
Mm.
uh,
Okay.
something like that.
All right.
Okay.
All right. So let me add. So in that scene, do you guys feel that you're seeing a Norwegian manga talk more about things that are relevant in Norway, or are they trying to talk about things that they think are relevant in Japan?
Ooh, interesting. Because I think it's very individual where in what the
Mm,
author does.
mm,
Sometimes the author gets inspiration from personal experience or their own culture. Because in Norway we are diverse people. There are
Right.
people from many countries that create manga.
mm,
And people get usually inspired by fantasy. I know
Right.
it's a genre that's very popular here in Norway.
Right.
mm.
Because it's funny
Okay.
because there's I know that the Japanese have done things like Vinland Saga,
Yeah.
Ragnarok,
Yeah.
inspired by Norwegian mythos,
Yeah.
things like that. And so it's funny. So
It is.
so what I'm asking you, so when you watching when you read it on the manga or watch any of the anime, do you ever think about what they get right or get wrong?
I usually read manga.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And I watch anime. So I do
But
both.
so do I'm just
Oh,
saying
okay.
when you watch it and you look at how they depict a lot of Scandinavian culture, do you see things that they get right and wrong about the culture?
Some of it, yeah, mostly.
Okay.
Uh,
Um, I just as a as a follow up on that, I was curious in regards to one thing we deal with here in English and in America in regards to manga, as
Yeah.
Mark said, there are a lot of young manga creators that tend to try to implicitly imply apply Japanese aspects
Yeah.
to their American perspective
Oh.
in their manga, which unfortunately can have mixed results.
sure.
Now, do you see any kind of stuff like that in regards to how Norwegian creators do their manga? Or is there a much clearer messaging in regards to how they approach it?
It depends on the genre, of course, but
Okay.
I see that a lot of artists are very inspired by manga,
Mhm.
especially in the drawing style.
Okay.
I see that.
Okay.
So,
Okay, so it's mostly more in the art than the
yeah,
storytelling specifically.
Okay, all right, yeah, that's
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
because over here it's a lot of it kind of permeates the storytelling too, and sometimes
Yeah.
yeah,
and so we're friends with have you ever heard of the manga Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney?
yes,
Yeah,
I
we're
heard.
friends with the guy who draws that manga, Kujo
Oh,
Maekawa. And Maekawa, when we met with him, or
Mm.
Irvin and another one, our studio mates met with him about 2 years ago in Chicago.
oh.
And what he was explaining to Irvin and them was basically, you can't out Japanese the Japanese. So give Japanese something that they can't do themselves.
Oh,
And we last 2 weeks ago we interviewed another Spanish mangaka who's over there working
yeah.
right now, and he was also saying to add to that that even though you're giving them something that they don't have, you still want to put it in a package that is Japanese as possible.
Yeah.
That's what he was telling us. So
Yeah.
Show them something different while still making it familiar.
yeah, keeping them comfortable,
Yeah.
you know. So we asked a little bit about this, and I also want to get into it again about your influences. Uh,
Oh, yeah.
talk a little bit more again about your influences in the art scene and the writing scene, because I think when I talked about the writing scene yesterday, I want you to kind of I didn't care if it was just manga. And I want you to talk a little bit more about that your entire writing scene influences too. You
Mm.
know, the writing and the drawing.
Interesting. I was prepared for that. So
Thank you.
to summarize it short, I brought my influence right here.
Oh,
Oh.
okay.
Yeah. So this
Oh,
is
okay.
the first manga I got to own, actually.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah.
And who's
Oh,
the
It
wow.
has
author?
Arina Tanemura.
All right, so you
Mm.
said that she's one of your influences, right? So let's
Yes.
can you talk a little bit more about this first influence?
Mm.
Yes, she was actually my first influence and the first artist that introduced me to manga.
Okay.
And this manga is the reason why I love manga
Okay.
because I actually hated reading when I was a
Oh,
kid.
what? Oh,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
okay.
But I got this as a Christmas gift from
Okay.
Mm,
my brother, so I
okay.
ended up reading it. And when I saw the art style, like here, shoujo,
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Okay.
I fell in love with the drawings.
Okay.
Right. Okay.
For the audience, could
So,
you
yeah,
elaborate a little bit on the series and what's it about?
it's about a girl who has a double identity. She's a
Oh,
schoolgirl by day, phantom thief by night. So she
Oh,
steals
okay.
oh, okay.
paintings.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
cool.
I think that's
All
Like
pretty
it's
right.
cool, actually.
really cool. So
Oh
I
yeah.
really love this one.
So, how about
Okay.
your second manga influence? You were saying yesterday it was two.
Yes. This is the Zelda manga drawn
Oh,
by Akira
oh,
Himekawa.
Okay.
oh,
Really love the
Legend of
drawings
Zelda.
here. Yeah,
Okay. So,
Oh, very cool.
of
Very
the two
cool.
of us,
very cool.
Joe is the bigger video game guy. So,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I've never actually played Legend of Zelda, but I'm a bit of a weirdo. I like lore, and the lore of the
Yeah,
Legend of Zelda series is fascinating. I
yeah.
it
I kind
is.
of love diving into it.
So, what is it
Yeah.
about that your second influence that really inspires you? If you don't mind me asking.
The thing is about the style, I like the strokes in the drawings, like
Mm.
how the character are drawn. It looks so
Mhm.
traditional.
Right.
Oh, okay.
And I like that you can see the lines a little bit more instead
Mm.
of the digital lines
Right. Right.
that we see
Okay.
in today's manga.
Sure. Sure. You know, you're
It,
also saying too that a lot of your influence comes from the early 2000s
yeah,
yesterday. So, what is it about
Mm.
that era in terms of manga that you like so much and compared to today?
Mm.
the thing is that I feel like they were more diverse in
Yeah, we talked.
storytelling
Yeah,
back
yeah.
then.
Mm.
We
And I
talked.
feel like there was more unique stories
And we talked
Okay.
in
about that yesterday
2000.
too. Uh,
Yeah.
the
Mm.
thing was also, I think we were talking about with there being more diversity. Do you think, and Joe, chime in
Mm.
on this too,
Mm.
do you guys both think that there was more diversity in the different genres back then that we were seeing?
Yeah.
Or do you guys think
Mm.
that, I mean, you guys think that there was more diversity in genres as well as art styles?
Mm. I'll let Eden go first on
Yeah.
this one. I do actually have some thoughts on this
Good
stuff.
question. Not exactly in genre, but I think they were diverse in multiple story. They were
Mm.
different kind of story, and I felt like mangakas and publishers took more risks back then
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
I
to
would agree with
publish new
that.
stories.
Yeah. Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah. Yeah, I very much agree actually. I think during at least the 90s into the early 2000s, pre 2010s, give or take, there was a much greater level of diversity. But then with the globalization of manga, that they I think there was I can't prove this, but it feels
Yeah.
like there was kind of an almost an editorial mandate to lean into trends, to
Right,
lean
Yeah.
right.
into more popular, the things that were seeming more popular in manga and anime circles. So a lot of things
Yeah.
that were already popular, if they leaned into the same genre or same story type, were getting more greenlit than others that took more risks that probably developed more of a cult following, as we refer to it in the United States.
Well, it's funny
Um,
because something
so
happened
yeah.
at
Yeah.
that time that was very interesting, though. And I want both you guys' thoughts on this, please.
Mm,
Yeah.
What happened back then in Japan was that the government started to get more into using manga as a soft power tool
mm,
from a State Department type standpoint. You know,
mm,
as a
Mm.
manga became more like an ambassador for Japan in the late 2000s and the
mm,
early 2010s. And I think that with that type of pressure or maybe responsibility, I think that the mangaka I think that the government itself started to kind of uh edit. I won't say edit, but to kind of look at what was coming out of Japan, because I noticed that now a ton of fantasy series, fantasy, right?
Yeah.
And I'm 55 now, so when I what first got me into manga was was mecha stuff. I love mecha
Mm.
work, right? And you don't see much of that anymore, not in manga. I mean, I might
No.
be one or two or whatever, but mecha work. I also like uh a lot of fantasy police stories, and I like a lot of police stories and stuff like that. Crime manga, stuff like that. But I don't see a lot of that anymore either. So
No.
I'm just wondering, what do you guys think that could have had any bearing on it? Like the government get more involved in manga? You guys think that may have had any more on it?
Hmm.
Hmm.
Feel free to go first, Eden.
I'm not actually sure, but I
I'm a big
noticed
political
that.
junkie. That's the
Yeah.
problem. I love politics, so I always keep up with every country's politics.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I'm not actually sure, but I think that back in 2000, when the big three came out, like Naruto, Bleach, Shonen was a
Mhm.
popular genre.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But I feel like genre changed over time based on popularity.
Yeah. I
Actually,
definitely
sports
feel. Oh,
manga.
sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, sure. Sports
Yeah.
manga also. Like you see sports manga now, but you saw a lot more back then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I I would definitely say there was a paradigm shift with
Yeah.
the big three. Because the more fantastical elements of shonen and things like that, really those were the big money makers. So I
Yeah.
definitely feel like there was a much bigger push for those. Um, I feel like in terms of like seinen stories, there's probably a lot of really good stuff that we just don't get
Right, because we don't
on
Mm.
get
this side.
everything. You're right. Yes,
Yeah.
we don't get
Yeah,
everything.
like I feel like the only like the shonen shojo related things that are popular with younger audiences are what
Yeah.
we in America will get more likely. Other countries probably get stuff that we don't that they don't even send on towards this side, but
Well,
I definitely do feel like the like shonen and shojo that paradigm shift in the early to late 2000s was like a huge it changed how a lot of publishers think about overseas markets.
Yeah.
and also but the thing is that as what happens in Japan happens everywhere else for the most part, right? So
It can, yeah.
Mm.
my thing, I tell you again, I don't know. I'll ask you from the Norwegian standpoint.
Yeah.
Why did now? Is it more shoujo manga or more shonen manga in your way right now?
I think it's more shonen manga, which are
Okay.
popular in
My
Norway.
thing with the fact that is again, it's always. I mean, Joe and I have talked about this before. I think that in not showcasing shoujo manga, people are missing a great many opportunities.
Mhm.
Because to me, I have found some of the more interesting stuff manga wise in shoujo manga. Like I'm a huge Clamp fan. I'm a Clamp fanatic. I love
Yeah.
Clamp. Anything Clamp does, I'm there for it, you know. And so, I mean, again, like stuff like Fruits Baskets. I love Fruits Baskets,
Oh, me too.
right? I think it's an amazing series. I think while it has some it has a lot of it's more slice of life than anything. It may have some maybe a few fantastical elements, but I love slice of life because it gets me not being Japanese, it gives me a window into the Japanese household and how people relate in those environments, right? You know, so I mean,
Mhm.
again, I think it's a big loss that people aren't pushing shojo more.
Mhm.
And they do that here in the U.S. too.
Mhm.
They push shojo in everything.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I said, I think that ties into the paradigm shift of the big three because things were a bit more experimental back then before
Sure.
that. Before there was that concrete demonstrator of, oh, this is the stuff that sells in these markets. Like, because you saw similar things in the video game markets too,
Sure.
in terms of the video games that are making it overseas. Like it's almost reminiscent of something that happened in Marvel Comics during the 90s,
Yeah,
as a way to offset the collector's bubble
yeah,
that was going on. Marvel basically let their marketing team act as their editorial, and they just let everything, whatever sold,
right, exactly.
basically is what, like, they forced overextended storylines and just different things
Sure,
like
sure,
that.
sure, sure, sure.
So, and I think, like, not the exact same thing, but I've always felt like, because I was actually over in Japan during the early 2000s, so I got to see a lot of things that hadn't even made it over to America yet, or and a lot of things that still haven't, quite
Sure.
frankly. And but it really, I got the feeling that a similar situation was going on, in that in terms of this, they focus on what would sell, and or as opposed to what would culturally resonate,
Right, right, right. Yeah.
which I think there's way more over there that can culturally resonate, if not it, but it may not, just it just won't sell to the degree that, sadly, the most popular shonens will.
Sure, sure, sure. Now, so how much, what, so in Norway, are you one of the only people doing shoujo type stuff that you know of, or are there other creators that are doing shoujo type stuff there?
Not sure actually. Like I said mentioned earlier, there are a lot of fantasy genre
Okay.
out there. That fantasy is the genre that dominates the
So I
most.
mean, is it like
Okay.
fantasy shonen stuff, or is it, because again, shoujo can be, you can do fantasy and shoujo too.
Mm.
But it's actually shonen, I think.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
People goes for that. Here in Norway, actually,
Okay.
since they try to make comics that will appeal to both males and females.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Uh, hmm.
it's funny because here, the female audience for comics, since I've been doing reading comics, hasn't been that great. It's getting better, but it's getting better because of manga.
Yeah.
Because the
Mhm.
female audience for manga here in the States is way bigger than the female audience for comics in the
Mhm.
States. Would
That's
you
true.
so how did that paradigm work in Norway? Did manga did it get started getting women to read more or what?
Yeah, that's true. Women and men reads more manga, including children, because in
Okay,
Norway they try to market manga towards children so that
Mm.
okay,
they would read and get
okay,
motivated by reading
Okay.
manga.
okay.
Okay.
So I guess shonen is
So
probably a good place to start there too,
yeah,
in JoJo.
Mm.
yeah.
Uh,
Since there's a publisher called Outland Forlag that translates manga to
okay,
Norwegian. So
Mm.
right,
they
Okay.
started with One Piece and My
Oh.
Hero Academia, Dragon Ball,
Okay.
the
okay.
classic shonen.
Now,
So
does
Okay.
this publisher have room for any homegrown Norwegian manga? Do they publish no homegrown Norwegian manga too?
yeah, they do
Oh, that's
Oh.
actually.
amazing.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
That's I think that's great because I think that's what they should do.
Mm.
So they just started publishing. I know that a few years ago they started this anthology where
Okay,
comic artists could make a manga for the
hmm,
magazine, which is called Rakkan.
okay,
So
Mm.
there you got the different types of storytelling. You got shonen,
sure, sure,
shoujo,
sure.
multiple genre in one book.
Yeah. All right. So
Okay.
Irvin
Okay.
Yeah.
In the China Taco, we do a anthology like that too called
Oh,
Origami
yeah.
Super Punch. So
Mm-hmm.
and it's again it's just like that anthology. It's got a whole bunch of different genres in there too. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that works.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
let's shift gears a little bit. To talking about your experience back when you actually started that program at the community college,
Yeah.
teaching manga. So what was some? So let's talk about the day that you decided to start this program. Tell us some of the things you had to deal with in starting the program, because I know it probably wasn't easy.
Oh. Oh, it was actually a big leap for me to start this
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
program. I was actually 25 back then when
okay,
I was starting this. So
Mm.
I remember I worked at a elementary school,
okay,
Mm.
So when I knew I was going to start a manga class, I was very excited, but it was very scary at the same time because
Right,
in
right,
community college you have to
right,
recruit students, so
Yep.
so you have to make a program that will appeal to a lot of people.
right.
Hmm.
So
So
it
I
was
can.
Okay.
scary first,
Oh,
thinking about the numbers,
Oh
but then
yeah.
gradually it worked out really well.
so do you keep in touch with any of your former students right now, or still?
Some of them,
Mm,
yeah.
So
okay.
what is the again? As a teacher, I got to ask you this question, right?
Yeah.
So what do your former students say that they took away from your class when they left? What did they take with them?
Think it's about the screen toning and the techniques that they learn,
Right.
then learning how
Mm,
to make a comic.
Okay.
okay.
That's what I
All right.
think,
This.
yeah.
All right. All right. So let me. Procedure wise, all right. What was your procedure in teaching the class? Like, what did some of the first things you taught, and what's the first things you think? What are the things that you thought were important to teach in that class in
I
terms
think
of?
the most important thing I had to teach was paneling
Mm,
because paneling is in manga is done very different compared to Western comics.
Right, right.
Because
hmm.
when you're making a comic for the first time, you think about how to make a comic in a Western way. But in
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
manga, you have to think about whenever you use square routes or dynamic routes,
Uh-huh.
Mm,
right?
Right. And so it comes down to how the eye moves across the page, right?
Yeah,
hmm.
that's true.
Western is it's a Z pattern, and then manga is like a S pattern more so.
Yep.
Yeah, it is.
Right, okay. All right.
Hmm.
So after paneling, what was the next thing that you thought that was important for them to learn? What was the next thing you taught them?
The important thing that I taught them is how to make a comic. Not exactly how
Oh.
to make, but sometimes making a comic, it's a journey that you have to
It
dive
is
yourself
absolutely,
into. You have
Mm,
to
absolutely.
learn
okay.
about how to plan your time,
Mm-hmm.
Mm,
how to make time for making your comics.
mm.
So did you teach so basically with the page construction, it was a lot of composition that you taught too, right?
Some of it, yes.
Mm.
And
And
we talked.
then,
No, I'm sorry. Go
and,
ahead.
and then the four act structure, Kisho
Right,
Tenketsu.
right. And so the funny thing is that the
Mm.
four act structure, we do a how to draw manga seminar at a lot of cons, right?
Mhm.
And we've really been breaking down the four act structure when it comes to the manga stuff, you know.
Okay.
And it's funny because I've had people, Joe and I actually we broke down the four act structure and realized that from our standpoint anyway, that because there are a lot of people that we know who are mangakas, be like, oh, you guys don't do the four act structure. But the thing is
Oh,
that in the three act structure, there's room for elements of the four act structure. So we kind of
interesting.
realized that, right?
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
That was a pretty recent
right, because
revelation.
we kind of broke it down, that I read the book by the creator of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, right?
Yeah.
I read that book, and then we looked at anime like Spirited Away, that really pretty much it does a lot of the four act structure in
Yeah.
terms from an anime standpoint, and we're like, man, okay. Uh, so we like, what makes this four act structure different? And
Hmm.
what we think, if Joe, again, don't let me speak for you, but
Mhm.
what we kind of figured out was uh in the four act structure, you can make it so that the protagonist is a lot more what's the word I want to use? You can make it so that the protagonist is a lot more sympathetic
Yeah.
than with the three act
Yeah.
structure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you'll find out something in Act Three about the protagonist that kind of changes your view of that protagonist. The antagonist. I'm sorry,
Oh yeah.
of the bad guy. You'll find out something that kind of changes your view of the bad guy. He's really not that bad. He just
Yeah.
a victim of circumstance.
Yeah. Some people would assume that the 4x structure means as it's an option for more action, when really a 4x structure helps with character
Yep,
development.
exactly.
Mhm.
So with structure, because see, so all right, so you talked to 4 Act structure. So you also talked yesterday about our favorite thing, perspective.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
how did your students deal with when you were teaching in perspective?
We didn't go through so much perspective, but
Uh-huh.
I showed them the basics of the
Right.
perspective rules on Clip Studio
Uh,
Paint
right, right.
Okay.
because that's easier when you're going to make
Mm.
Sure. It's
perspective. Yeah.
funny. It's funny because over here, Joe will tell you, my students, they despise perspective. They
Yeah.
they run from it as far as they can get and as fast as they can get away.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I still try to teach it to them. But the way that I teach it though, I try to tell them why certain perspectives are important. Like I say, okay, the 1 point perspective is good for showing distance. The 2 point perspective is good for when you want to show a wide panning shot. And the three
Yeah.
point perspective is when you want to show the grandiose relationship between things. So that's how I try to teach it to them so that they can keep it in their mind and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
so I'm
When
going.
it comes to how we teach the fundamentals of like art in general, we try to make sure that it's known that those should be known and applied in comics and manga, but it's we more or less try to make sure they know why
Right,
they're
exactly.
important and of how to apply them within the comic and manga structure.
Right.
So yeah, try not to replace, the fundamentals, but try to put them into context.
So when you so are there any other programs that exist now that after you did that program at the community college
Yeah.
that you know of?
There are. Yeah, there are.
So how you all right?
Mm.
So have you had a chance to interact with any of those people who create those programs? Because I personally would think that they
Yeah.
would be reaching out to you.
Yeah, I talked to some of the teachers who had other manga programs here in Norway.
That's good. That's really good. Again, it's
Okay.
about community. That's how you build this thing and you keep it going.
Mm.
It's through community and whatnot. So let's move on a little bit to talk about, yes, Joe, she is a reviewer. So let's move on a little bit to talk about your life as a reviewer. Who are you reviewing for right now?
I'm currently reviewing for a comic platform called Serienet.
Hey, tell us a little bit about that platform if you don't mind.
So it's a platform for everyone who likes to read comics
Right.
and create comics. So almost all of the artists, editors are in that part of group.
Okay.
Oh,
All
okay.
right.
Okay.
So do you review one particular genre or do you move over all the manga genres?
So far, I got one manga, and I also got a comic from Fumio Obata, if you're
Okay, yeah,
familiar with
I
him.
know them. I
Okay.
know them, yep.
So I reviewed his comic since he
Mhm.
was coming to Norway in
Okay.
Mm.
related to a comic festival back in
Mhm.
Bergen, which is the
Mhm.
west side of Norway,
Mhm.
where other comics artists from different countries came. And
Okay.
Fumio Obata was there to talk
Mhm.
about manga and his comic.
Okay. All right,
So
that's
it was
All right.
really nice because he
one
had
thing.
a different approach to
One
manga.
thing that I find though that's
Okay.
different here in the
Mm.
States, and one thing I find different here in the States than in Europe and the like is that you guys are more open to international collaborations and
Yeah.
looking at more international stuff. Here in America, and again, even though Joe and I we love our superhero comics,
Yeah.
but the thing is, I think here in America that kind of holds us back.
It's a dominating force in our part of the industry, sadly.
And there are a lot of even a lot of American comic artists, they don't know about the bande dessinée, and they don't know about the Spanish and Italian comic scene. They don't know anything about any comic scene, but maybe a little bit about the Japanese scene and nothing else. Because you got the
Mhm.
Korean scene, which is just a little bit different than the Japanese scene. It's closer to the Japanese scene, but a little different. You got the
Mhm.
Chinese scene that is a little close. Is way different than the Japanese scene, even though it shares elements.
Mhm.
You know, you got the bande dessinée for French and Belgian scenes. You got the Italian scenes. You got the British scenes, right? And they're not all superhero oriented. So I
Yeah.
think that, you know, for not being having an international focus kind of limits us here in America.
Mhm.
So, so you studied. So let's talk a little bit about your studies abroad when you went to Japan.
Yeah.
As a person coming from Norway, what are some of the things that struck you as different from the way that you, even doing manga, the way that you approached doing manga before you went there, as
Yeah.
opposed to how that changed when you left?
Well, I felt like going to Japan was a soul searching trip.
All right.
Yeah.
I left the trip with inspiration, knowing what kind
Mhm.
of manga I want to make.
Okay.
My sensei in Japan, she taught me how about that you should make a manga that's based on something you like, a
Mm.
story you want to tell, but also know that that manga is your life. She said to
Mm.
me in a speech before the last day. So important to make a manga that only you can make.
All right.
Mm. Okay.
So you're working on it. Are you currently working on a comic? Are you
Yeah.
still?
Mhm.
Okay? So a
I'm
manga. So can you tell us a little bit about that manga? I know that you know we talked yesterday.
yeah.
You don't want to get into the weeds so much, but can you give us
Yeah.
a safe overview that's not going to give us any spoilers about what your manga is about and who
Oh,
you're trying to reach?
okay. So imagine that if you have if Naruto and Sailor Moon has a crossover,
Okay. All
that's
right.
my manga.
Ooh.
Okay.
Oh, that is an awesome tagline. Like that's almost
Yeah.
oh, I know so many people that would be interested just based off of that description
Well,
alone.
I I
That
look,
sounds
Oh.
really
I
cool.
want to get a little bit more into it. I know you can't go in super far,
Yeah.
but what's it about? Who are I see? I know, but the rest of the guys don't know. So
Okay. So my manga just says short that it's about a son,
uh,
Mm,
um, son looking like character called Elio,
okay,
mm,
that he wants to be a star. He
mm.
wishes to be a star. So that's the log line.
okay,
Okay,
Quite
okay.
all
poetic,
right.
but you have to think about how will that go?
But yeah, see, the thing
Oh,
is this, right?
a
We
lot
have
of
big
ways.
imaginations, so we probably we Joe and I we can see the thing.
Yeah.
Mhm. Oh yeah.
So is it gonna? So is it gonna be more? It's gonna be more shojo or what genre do you think it's gonna it kind of reaches?
Somewhere in between.
Okay, fair
Mm.
enough. Fair enough.
Yeah,
Jojo,
Okay.
what's the
because
name for that? What's the name for in between Shoujo and Shonen? What is the where is it? Is there a
I'm
name?
not, no, I don't think so.
Okay, well,
Okay.
good enough.
Like
Eden, we'll come up with something.
Yeah, you should come up with something.
We'll come up with
like
something.
would you say it might have more elements like a battle oriented manga, or maybe it's a little more like an epic adventure, maybe not so fighting oriented, but more travel exploration like?
Challenges, yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. You have to see.
Okay,
Oh,
all
okay,
right.
okay,
No
See that?
bad.
okay. Yeah, no
Look, hey,
spoilers, no
Eden's not
spoilers.
telling.
No.
That's as far as she's gonna go.
Okay. All right, all right.
Hey,
It
so
does still sound fascinating. It sounds really
Yeah,
interesting. Very
thank
interested
have
to
you
hear
you.
more
have you
about
settled
it.
on the title yet, Eden, for the manga?
Dreamcatcher?
Ooh,
Yeah.
Okay, we
that's
we
like
got it first.
classic.
Yeah.
You know
Nice.
we're gonna come back and interview you as more of the manga comes out, right?
You should. You can
we,
do
we
that, of
want
course.
we want as we say here, we want you to spill all the tea.
Oh, we'll see.
All right.
Yeah.
So
Mm. I would
for
say
right,
I
go ahead,
do
I'm
have a
sorry.
question since you are in production currently.
Yeah.
Um, what would you say is your like process and timeline in regards to how you go from script to
Great question.
page?
timeline, my
Yeah, your
process.
process
Oh
more
yeah,
so, yeah.
yeah. Well, how do you go about
Right.
crafting
When Edie gets
your
up in the morning
manga
and she
story?
goes and gets ready for that page, how do you do it? What is the things that you focus on when you're doing your manga in terms of process?
Hmm.
The thing is that earlier I rushed a lot with my manga project,
Okay,
but in this
okay,
time I want to take it a little bit slow because I want to
Mm.
plan carefully.
okay.
So I'm almost done with the character designs for
Oh,
Right.
the
okay,
characters. So I'm gonna work on the world building and
okay,
then the pages will come. But I already
okay,
worked a lot on
Mhm.
it while I was
mhm,
in Japan last year, so
Right,
I
right.
know
okay, okay.
how it will go.
All right.
All right, so
Um,
I'm
go
sorry,
ahead.
go ahead, Joe.
I was just going to ask, like, in terms of like, you're in the design phase and whatnot, which is
Yeah.
a lot of fun.
Right, yeah.
As a writer, I get stuck in world building very easily.
Oh, yeah.
I start building a world and then realize, oh dang, I don't have stories for it yet. Um, so what I personally try to do is I will only let myself go so far with the world building, and then I start scripting out like the chapters. And I was
Yeah.
wondering, like, like, do you like to get through the design phase completely first before you start scripting, or do you like get into the world building side of things before you even get that far?
That's true. I would like to, I rather plan so much as I can,
Mhm.
but I'm also open to do changes if I'm on the
Sure,
scripting
sure,
phase.
sure.
Oh, you
So
stay flexible. Okay.
Okay.
yeah, so I try
Oh,
to
that's
stay
good.
flexible. So
Okay. Right,
Oh
yeah.
yeah, no, that's
it is.
important.
All right.
Yeah,
Joe will tell
this
you I
is,
do things differently.
yeah, because I always follow this checklist on what I'm going to
Okay.
do.
Right,
So
right.
it
Okay.
motivates me a lot.
Oh, you're
Okay.
organized, are you?
Yeah,
Okay. We
I
like
Oh,
like that.
organization. Organization is
oh
Yeah.
great.
yeah.
So that helps me a lot with my process. And if I'm done with the character design, I'm like, check, that's
Okay.
completed.
So
So,
now we're going to ask you, what part of the process do you like the most?
oh, character design is really fun.
Had a feeling.
See,
Yeah.
I'm a lore guy, so I like making up the stuff that happened in the past that got gets me to the
Yeah.
start. Character. I used to be a character design Joe guy. Joe used to be a
Oh,
character design guy too.
Yeah,
oh, that's
kind
cool.
of we both kind of fell into the same trap of falling in love with lore,
Right.
and
Yeah.
I get stuck in it more than he does. He's more
'Cause-
disciplined than I
Oh.
No, what
am.
I do is this. I'll come up with like a wide, big lore or whatever, but I don't get specific, right?
Mm,
And then I'll come up with enough specificity,
mhm.
what's the word, Joe? Help me out.
Specificity.
Yes, specificity.
Yeah.
I'll come up with enough of that to where I can start the story. Then I start the story.
Now, I get stuck in the details.
All right.
I
Then I
start.
start building the details
Mm.
as I'm going along because I have a kind of a roadmap, but it's not a detailed roadmap. So
Yeah.
I
then I
accidentally
just
start
like
writing textbooks.
well, I just like to be surprised, right? So I want to be surprised right along with the audience. So that's
Oh
the way
yeah.
I kind of approach it. Um, so it's a question. I'm look. I'm going to get an urban question from here, right?
Okay.
Uh, who would you like to collaborate with if you had the chance of the entire whole wide manga comics world? Who would you like to collaborate with
Mm.
and why?
Mm.
Do you mean editors or
Editors,
artists?
whoever,
And
just
whomever within
whomever.
the
Just
industry.
tell us who and tell us why.
Oh, it's actually a very tricky question
I'm sorry.
because, but I actually, when I'm going to collaborate with someone, I look for qualities
Okay.
about the collaborator.
Okay, yeah. What qualities do
So,
you look for? That's even a better question.
Mm.
so for me, I rather collaborate with people in the industry that are genuine and passionate about
Mm.
manga,
Sure.
and those
Okay.
who truly respect the artist and understands what the artists are going through.
Right. And
Okay.
Because
respect the
being an
craft too,
artist,
right?
Hmm.
yeah, that's
Okay.
true.
All right.
Okay.
So for me, professionalism and
Hmm.
Sure.
integrity are very important.
You
Okay.
you fit right in with us.
Oh, that's nice.
You
Yep.
fit right in with us because that's we feel
Yeah.
the same way.
Piggybacking off of that, if, for instance, if you had the opportunity to work on a specific type of manga, like genre-wise, shonen, shoujo, fantasy, or sports, or cooking.
Yeah.
If you
Cooking
had
mangas
the
are great. I
opportunity,
like cooking mangas.
if you had the opportunity to, what type of manga story would you like to just make? Like let's say a big publisher comes out, like, what do you want to make? Like, what would you
Oh,
love to do?
I would actually make a romance manga, shoujo manga.
Oh, okay, okay, all
So,
right.
okay, so now I'm going to really get in the weeds with you. So, from a
Yeah.
romance manga standpoint, what do you think the things that are most important in putting together a romance manga?
Oh
The
yes.
thing is that you have to make a very fun interaction with the female and the male characters
Okay, all right,
Okay.
in order to make a great romance.
Mhm.
okay,
Love triangles are nice,
okay.
but
Love
you
triangles.
have
Okay,
to,
all right. I'm like,
yeah,
okay.
I think you have to think outside of the box while
Mm.
making those romance series.
Okay.
So you're gonna
Because
have a lot of tension.
yeah, because I noticed that people like the process,
Mm.
the
Okay.
process of two people are trying to get together. But
Mm.
I think they need to focus on the different sides of the
Sure, sure.
romance. For
So would you
Okay.
make
example,
the two? Would you have the two person people in love triangle be like totally different type of people?
not sure, yeah.
Oh,
Ah.
okay. Oh, okay.
So
Oh,
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Joe.
considering that, what do you feel like people, could you elaborate a little more on what you think people get wrong about
Romance.
romance
Yeah, yeah,
stories
yeah,
and
yeah.
things like that? Like, what do you feel like, oh, they're doing it wrong?
I think, especially in shoujo mangas, that
Mhm.
the main character usually ends up with the guy who treated her badly in the first place.
Joe, yes,
Mm.
When
absolutely,
she had the
absolutely.
nice guy right there,
Yeah, the nice guy never
love,
gets. Is that's true? That's true?
Mhm.
yeah,
That's true in life too, Eden.
yeah. Or when the female lead has the worst options of love interests.
Wow.
Mm.
Okay.
Like no
Yeah,
good options at all.
Yeah,
yeah, that's true.
so she had to pick the least of the worst options.
Yeah, because that
Wow.
reminds me of a manga I read actually,
Mm.
Hot
Mm.
Gimmick. Of
Okay.
it when there are this female protagonist
Mm.
who ends up in a very dumb situation and she has the three worst love
Wow.
Oh
interests.
So
no.
in the manga, how did she handle that?
Not well,
What?
actually.
Oh,
Wow,
oh
that's
no.
horrible.
Oh,
Yeah,
But
oh,
what?
that is
But hey,
unfortunate.
I'll ask you this, Eden. But was it an
yeah.
interesting manga? Was it interesting
It
though?
was very interesting.
Oh, at least in that regard, the creator did their job.
Yeah, they
It
did their job.
did.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, it's crazy. So, hey, so I'm gonna get off a little bit on the path. You play video games, Eden?
Not so much. I used to
Mm.
when I was
Okay,
a kid, but I actually play Super Mario with my nieces.
okay.
Oh,
Well,
okay,
that's always
okay.
good. A
Yeah.
good one. Yeah.
All
So,
What?
right.
but not beside that.
It's Fortnite
Mm.
these days for my cousins. They're
Yeah.
Fortnite all day. It's like, man, dude, don't you get tired of Fortnite and Minecraft? You know, Minecraft's kind of old.
uh,
Hey,
I can't get down with Fortnite anymore.
oh yeah,
It's my cousins tried to get me into that game, and I enjoyed it for a little while, but it got monotonous after a
real
while.
quick, real fast. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a big story oriented guy, so I play a lot of single player games.
Oh,
Now,
Yeah.
hey, so I'm gonna ask another urban question. The two
Oh,
urban
yeah.
okay.
questions. Right. One, well, no, this is a me question too.
Oh.
So we talked yesterday about your actual process in terms of digital and physical. So you once worked in the physical medium, right?
Physical medium.
Like you once worked with pen and pencil and stuff like that and paper. You did that before, right?
Yeah, I used to.
Right. So now you were telling me that you work in the digital medium, right? Can you
Yeah,
talk about some of the differences in working in those mediums?
the thing is that I noticed that digital are easier
Okay.
Okay.
because digitally you get to it's easier to erase mistakes and you can just size the heads to the
Right.
wherever size you
Exactly.
want.
Okay.
Okay. So the
And it,
convenience gotcha.
right.
Okay.
Yeah,
Look,
it's
I
very
worked
convenient.
I worked in the physical medium for so long, Eden, that I can tell you every trick.
Yeah.
They're messy though. That's the problem. It's messy.
That's-
And if you ever want to sell your pages, they're gonna look bad. But they're gonna work
Yeah,
when you print them.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
So what do you use in the physical medium? Like I mean in the digital medium, what software?
I use Clip Studio Paint.
Okay. Yes,
So do we.
we use it all day too. And you were talking a little bit about using Procreate for your sketch work, right?
Yeah, I do actually because
Now,
I
do you
feel like
find sketching and Procreate, do you find the differences in sketching and Procreate as opposed to sketching in Clip Studio Paint?
yes, I do actually because I feel like in Procreate the sketching phase is easier
Mhm.
and it goes faster. In Clip
Okay.
Studio, it's a little bit slow,
Okay. All right.
but I'm not. Yeah.
So here's the urban question. We're coming up on the last couple of minutes. So Urban always asks, do you have any rivals in the industry? Do you have anybody who's
Oh,
your nemesis in the industry right now?
well, who doesn't? We all
What? Oh, wow, she answered the
we all
question.
have. It's
So
like
we don't have to name any names, but we just
no,
now
no.
know you have nemesis. Okay. All right. Hey, I didn't expect her to answer that question.
Yeah, but I think it's when you're a comic artist, it's like Bachman all over again.
What? Oh no.
Oh man.
Wow.
Okay. Okay.
It's kind of like that,
Hmm. Okay. It's,
don't
I mean,
you? Yeah.
All right. So
mhm.
we also asked you, I think yesterday we talked about the time amount of time it takes you to work on a page. So
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about the amount of time that you are working that it takes for you to work on a page.
It depends on the comic I make. If I
Okay.
make something very simple, it might take 2 to 3 hours.
Mhm.
But if I'm
Okay.
going to make a comic with a little bit more details, it might take up to 6 hours
Good.
or one day.
Okay. All
Okay.
right.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So having asked that question, uh I'm gonna lead to something you talked about yesterday. It was super interesting.
Okay.
Talked about what were we talking about? We're talking about comic length as a we talked what we were talking about was people trying to create their magnum opus, their mega comic first, and what your thoughts
Yeah.
were about that. Could you tell us a little bit about what your thoughts on about how people should attack their first comics that they create and manga?
Yeah. That's interesting
Mm,
because it's very important that you shouldn't start too hard or
mm,
come off too strong because I met some people who are like, okay, I'm going to make my first manga. I haven't made it before, but I'm going to make those 20 pages or
mhm,
60 pages, but
mhm.
somehow ends up not finishing,
All right.
which I've seen a lot
You said
in
yesterday
beginners.
that you
Yeah.
should try to create one piece.
Yeah. So don't aim for that.
So you think that people should try to ease into creation then?
Yeah, start with little by little, step by
Mhm.
step. So you can start with, for example, a young comma,
Uh-huh.
Japanese comic
Oh,
strips,
oh yeah.
or you can start with making 2 pages comics, for example.
Mhm.
I actually used to do that
Okay.
back then
Oh,
in 2017 when I made my first webcomic. I
Sure.
okay.
started with 4 pages for
Okay.
each chapter,
All
Oh,
right.
and
okay.
this is how I found my flow
Right.
Okay.
because when you're making webcomics, it's actually a good practice
Mm,
Okay.
for
Right.
making for knowing your workflow and
Okay.
knowing about get to know about your work process. It's very important to start little by little,
Sure.
and then you can expand the pages.
Okay. All
Okay.
right.
But don't start off too ambitious.
Right. Okay.
And it's good to have ambitions, but
Sure.
Mm.
But you
start
have to put
little
them
by
in the back.
little.
You have to put them in the backpack for a while, right?
Yeah, that's
Oh, all right. So,
That that
no,
ties
go ahead,
into
Joe.
something that I always really kind of appreciated in regards to manga, in that
yeah,
so many prominent manga artists, they started out with just being able to put out one shots. Like they would
yeah.
do like early versions of their concept as a one shot and then refine it over time, or they will or they'll use those one shot contests to refine their skills and things along those lines, as opposed to trying to get that one big story out there from the get-go. So that kind of like your process kind of reminded me of that a little bit. And I think that really
Yeah,
is the better way to go.
I do too. I
that's
agree.
actually
All right.
because I actually did that with Yazawa Sensei.
Okay.
She
Okay.
taught me how to make a one shot, and then I got feedbacks based on that.
Oh,
Sure.
awesome.
So the thing is that in what it's better to make a one shot because then you know what kind of manga you want to make and what kind of manga you don't want to make. So
Mhm.
in my case, I was trying to make a shonen manga
Uh,
and I didn't
Okay.
like the panelists.
okay. Well,
Oh, okay.
but
Okay.
again, what you
So
learn though, and that's what it comes down
yeah,
to. So
I learned a lot.
let me get into the editorial for a little bit, right? So have you
Yeah,
worked with editors and what you were telling me yesterday? This is a two-part question.
yeah.
You worked with editors before, and so what can you talk a little bit about that experience?
Editors.
Hmm.
Oh, okay. So
Because
I actually,
obviously, we started out, we don't work with editors, we're our own editors, right? But then when you start working with editors, what are some of the differences that you found when you're working with editors?
editors. Actually, what I was trying when I was making a comic book called Bobla,
Uh-huh.
we had editors back
Okay.
then.
Right.
So it was actually my first comic back then, but
Right.
I got a lot of experience while
Okay.
making this comic, and the editors gave me some advice on what to do and what not to do. So
Okay.
it was a learning process too.
Do you
Okay.
think that made you a better mangaka, or did you gain any more insight to being a mangaka working with editors, or was it or no?
So much,
Okay, all right. All right,
not so
because
much.
again,
It because yeah,
editorial is just a different animal. It's just, when people are looking at your stuff and, kind of critiquing your stuff. So that leads to my one of my last questions. What do you think the importance is of people having a thick skin as it relates to being mangaka? Because I know a lot of people, when people criticize or they'll give them editorial points in their manga, they just blow up. They just lose their minds.
yeah.
Do you think it's important to have a thick skin as a creator if you're going to put your stuff out for people to see, or what do you think?
I think it's very important because I actually spoke to some editors here in Norway
Mm.
and asked them while I was doing research for my manga class, I was asking them, what do you look for when you're going to work with a comic artist?
Right.
And they would say that they look for someone who could handle criticism, constructive criticism, someone who are willing to cooperate to
Mhm.
make this comic, not be stuck by their point
Or
by
be
their point of
stubborn.
view.
Yeah.
But
Right.
yeah,
All right. So I mean, I would absolutely agree.
yeah.
I personally have had issues with that in my career.
Okay.
I started out doing role playing game art, so
Yeah.
I had to. So before I did comic book art, I did role playing game art. So I definitely got a
Okay.
lot of criticism. That kind of made me a better person in terms of taking criticism. Uh,
Yeah.
Joe, I have one last question, but do you have any more questions before this one last question?
Well,
Mhm.
I would say in regards to probably the pure and simplest question, when can we expect to see some more of your manga? Any idea when we might get a maybe a release date or a tentative
Yeah, that would be great.
medium
Oh,
that the people will be able to read it on?
we'll see. I'm not sure yet,
Okay.
but I think this year I will start with the pages, I think.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
But maybe next year.
All
Maybe
right.
we'll
Okay.
see.
Okay.
Well, as a
So,
follow-up, are
right.
you
Yeah.
thinking web comic or are you thinking physical comic?
Uh, oh, that's a difficult one,
Mhm.
but I hoped for physical, so
All right.
So,
All
all
right.
right. So I lied. I do. I got two more questions, but here's one thing. I'll tell you this. What we do what we'll do, we do a web comic and a fit and when we do it, the pages like they're physical pages though, right?
yeah.
I know web comics most times you do panel per panel or two panels in a page in web comics, right? But we
Yeah.
do it as a as a like a physical page, and then once we get so many pages on the web, we'll publish it as a physical volume. And we'll
Oh,
color it and stuff too. Usually it's black and white
Mhm.
nice.
on the web, but it'll be colored when it comes out as a physical volume for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So something important. I'm glad I didn't forget to ask this question because it's very important. You talked about we talked yesterday. You talked about uh rejection. You talked about having
Yeah.
one of your comics rejected. What was that like, and what did you learn from that experience?
What I learned interesting because when I got rejected, I was trying to pitch my manga for a publisher here in Norway,
Mhm.
but then my comic got rejected because
Mm.
there was a lot of things that because the story felt rushed
Right.
and my main character was portrayed as angry,
Oh yeah,
Mm.
yeah, yeah. You know about
not
that.
Okay.
likable, like Eren from Attack
Mm.
on Titan, you could
Okay.
say.
Oh, okay.
So
Huh.
I had to reflect on that, and I spoke
Mm.
with other people who reads manga and other artists here in Norway, and they was like, it's okay that the main character can be bad.
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
I agree.
It's okay, yeah,
It's yeah, that's one of those things that is really a weird critique because
yeah,
as long as your main character makes you feel something,
Right.
yeah,
that's not necessarily it doesn't have to be you don't have to like them, but you have to care about them
Sure,
somehow.
sure, sure.
yeah,
We can.
And that's one of those weird criticisms that comes across every now and again that just feels like, are you sure about
Oh yeah,
that?
definitely.
yeah,
Yeah.
So we like to say basically it's like this. There are three things. You either like the character and you want to see them succeed, you hate the character and you want to see them pay, or they're so interesting that you want to go along for the ride. Those three things,
yeah.
right?
Mhm.
So I'm going to get to the final urban question you answered yesterday, but I want to save it again for the last question.
Yeah.
Right. So what is your end game?
In game publication.
In Japan, or do you care where?
I'm not sure. I'm very open.
Mm.
I'm
Okay.
open. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. See, Urban, we got all the questions answered.
Yeah.
All
Uh, e-
right.
Again, like I told you, getting to know you these last couple of days has been outstanding. You know, we think you're a really quality person. We think you're a really quality mangaka. And you, again, one thing, the fact that you teach, for me personally, is amazing because I don't think there are enough teachers. The fact that you taught, I don't think there are enough teachers. I think that, a lot of people are getting a lot of bad information
Mhm.
and they're not taking the time to follow up that information. They like, oh, this guy said that on the internet, whatever. But that guy did the research,
Mhm.
and he don't. That person's only giving you the cliff notes when you should actually use that to say, okay, this is a good starting point. I'm going to do some research. So I think there's a lot of good information on the internet, but you have to approach it, from a responsible standpoint. So anything, Joe? Anything?
Oh no, I'm just it's been a delight getting to know you during this interview. I'm glad I was able
Yeah.
to help and participate with it. And honestly, I am looking forward to hearing more about Dreamcatcher as
Yeah,
it
me
comes
too.
Oh,
closer
thank
to
you.
release.
So
Yeah, I
our-
hope so.
what we're planning on doing somewhere down the line, we're going to do a roundtable of creators, manga creators, to kind of talk candidly about, the industry and some of the things, from a non-Japanese manga perspective that you guys think is important. or not. And so would that be something that you might be interested in participating in?
Oh yeah.
Thank you so much.
Awesome.
See, now we checked off all of Irvin's so now he's not gonna kick us out. We can host again.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you again, Eden.
Thank you.
Aiden, I'm gonna have you send us your socials
Mhm.
and whatnot so we can put on the interview, and we're gonna have them in the liner notes of the
Yeah.
interview, and we're gonna put them at the end of the interview too.
Mhm.
All right. So Eden, is there anything that you want to say before we end this interview?
Thank you so much for having me today.
It was a joy for us
Oh,
too.
yes,
So
absolutely.
Joe, you want to shine the spotlight out?
No, I don't know Irvin's sign off.
Wait, it's not the honeycomb hideout,
Yeah, this isn't my podcast.
Okay.
I can't say
So,
what I say on my
right.
podcast.
So for Irvin Johnson, on Cloud Nine, this is Mark Dudley and Joe Kane. Sign the spotlight out. Take it easy.
Take care, everybody.
uh,
Thank you.
All right.
yeah,
Oh,
this was
that
amazing.
was great.
This
Thank
was a
you
great
so
interview.
much
Thank you
for
so much.
answering our questions today.